get straight into it. So, deals so far. A couple of free agents, Ben McKay and Todd Goldstein, to Essendon.
Yeah, done.
Looks funny in that jumper.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, Goldstein's obviously spent 17 years at North Melbourne. Like, yeah, you're right. Pulls on a red sash. It does look very, very different for a 300 gamer. Not something that the Roos fans would want to see. The McKay situation obviously a bit different, given that they've pocketed pick 3 as compensation. I think they're quite happy with what they're getting in return for him, even though he was still quite well rated. Essendon happy, North happy, so that's kind of how free agency is supposed to work, although I don't think too many people are pleased with band 1 compensation for Ben McKay. Then you've got Tom Doedee getting band 2 at pick 19, so he was one of the other, I think 4 other moves on top of the 2 guys that went to the Bombers. So yeah, Doedee to Brisbane, and the Crows getting pick 19. Joel Hamling to Sydney, James Jordan to Sydney, and Matt Flynn to West Coast from GWS. So the Giants got pick 40 and the Demons got pick 39 for losing Flynn and Jordon respectively. Obviously, those picks have kind of fallen back a little bit in the order, given there's more compensation with McKay coming in and Doedee's coming in, but Hamling and Goldstein, no compensation for either of them. So, yeah, what's that, 5, 6 free agency deals done as of midway through Tuesday. So you're only really 3 or 4 days into free agency, and there's not really a lot of other deals to come. Jay Gresham,
they got done pretty quickly this year, I feel like.
Yeah, free agency can be pretty straightforward. Just there's not often too much hesitancy. And the restricted free agents, Adelaide were going to be happy with band 2 for Doedee. North Melbourne wrapped with band 1 for McKay. So you're not going to get too much resistance for those kind of restricted free agents. And Gresham's there on the other one. You'd think that's going to be pretty straightforward as well. It's just going to be quite interesting to see what compensation St Kilda could get band 2. I think more likely maybe an end of second round, but I don't think he falls in the category of Flynn and Jordon either. So yeah, maybe it could be band 2 and they get pick 19, 20, 21 in that kind of range.
So just as a quick refresher, what's sort of the ranges that we're looking at in terms of what's band 1, what's band 2, what's band 3?
Well, it's called, I think David Noble was the one to coin the term the secret herbs and spices of free agency. It can really vary. Like no one really knows what's going to get band 1 as a minimum, that is. Like if you're offering someone 7-year deal at $1 million a piece, then you're definitely getting band 1. But if it's a 4-year deal worth 600, 700K, like that could be in between maybe. There's no, I don't think there's an actual grid to kind of map that out. The AFL might have something.
It's not public knowledge.
No, it's not. No, obviously the AFL would have something in mind and have a pretty good idea on what's what. But with like the CBA increase as well, it kind of makes things interesting. Yeah. To see how much that gets lifted, and if that gets lifted with the CBA, which it would have to. There
is a formula that exists somewhere in the archives of
I'd like to think it's a straightforward formula. But,
right. But so basically it all depends on the offer coming to the free agent.
Yeah, length, obviously salary. There might be other factors with triggers and kind of bonuses and that kind of stuff. But the longer the deal and obviously the more expensive a player is going to be, then the more likely you're going to get band 1. So that's how it's supposed to work out.
Yeah. Basically, I'm just trying to figure out if we can get anything, if the D's can get anything higher than pick 39 for Jordan.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think GWS and Melbourne would be quite happy with that. Everyone should be quite happy with the compensation they're receiving at the moment. Hasn't always been, of equal value or of greater value than for losing a player. Like you think about Lance Franklin leaving for Sydney, and I think the Hawks got pick 19. But that's because they're the best team in the competition, and the best compensation you can get is band 1, which is at the end of your first round pick. Yeah. So when you are the best team in the comp, you got pick 18. It's not the best system at the moment. It's the system we've got, and it could get tweaked a little bit over time, but I don't really know what next step they'll take. Yeah.
All right. Some herbs and spices to work out there at some point. So a couple of pick swaps with the Dogs and the Suns. So what did they get there?
Yeah. So a total of 4 first rounders swapped hands here. So the Dogs got their hands on pick 4, and the Suns get picks 10, 17, and the Western Bulldogs is future first. So the deal pretty much to have, the Dogs get an early access in the draft, they'll be quite happy with that. They lose 10 and 17, which was, could have gotten swallowed up in a rivals bid for father-son prospect Jordan Croft, who could be around that 10 mark. So that way they can get someone in early and then use their later picks to match bids for Jordan Croft instead of two first round picks. And then the Suns get 10, 17 and a future first. So 17 they're likely to hold. 10's likely to get moved on for more pick splitting. And that way they'll just get even more draft points to try and get those 3 or 4 academy kids that they've got coming through. So win-win trade. Some might think that the Dogs paid overs, but they're kind of needing to work through draft plans of their own with Croft coming in. I think both clubs are pretty happy with what they've got out of that one.
Yep. And the Dockers and the Port, I always call them the Port instead of the pair. Dockers and Port also swap picked.
Yeah, so this is one that will help Port Adelaide get guys like Asava Rodigalia and Brennan Zerk-Thatcher through the door. So they give up their future first round pick, which I think actually still could be a very good pick for Fremantle to have. Port finished 11th last year. Certainly came up and will be right in premiership contention next year, you'd think, but there's every chance that they can fall a bit back down. Not necessarily out of the 8, but could be a nicely priced pick for that Fremantle pick up in a year where you've got guys like Tim English, Logan McDonald coming off contract that they'll be looking at. And Freo gave up a couple of their second round picks, both one for this year, one for next year. So look, this year's one's already been pushed back, I think, a couple of spots because of compensation, but that could be the pick that gets them Radigalia or Zerk-Thatcher. So that's another one that kind of unlocks more moves.
Yep.
That's why these deals are getting done early.
Yeah.